Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now, let's jump straight into today's exciting update. Tension continues to build in Beyond the Gates as carefully hidden schemes begin moving closer to dangerous consequences. And on Wednesday, July 15th, several lives could be pushed toward dramatic turning points. Hayley is growing increasingly impatient as the plan she believed would solve everything continues to move far too slowly for her liking, while Deanna begins setting a troubling scheme of her own into motion. Elsewhere, Naomi prepares to take an important and deeply personal step toward her future, determined to understand every option available to her as she faces the reality of her BRCA gene results. Each storyline carries its own emotional weight, from betrayal and deception to family conflict and difficult medical decisions, but all of them are beginning to collide with choices that could have lasting consequences. And for Hayley in particular, patience is rapidly disappearing as Bill continues to survive despite everything she and Randy have secretly done. Bill's recent health scare certainly did not turn out the way Hayley had hoped, because despite his frightening condition, he is still alive. That reality appears to be becoming increasingly frustrating for her, especially after spending so much time waiting for the slow-acting poison to finally accomplish what she intended. According to the spoilers for Wednesday, July 15th, Hayley and Randy will now plot to accelerate their long con, with the emphasis very much on the word long, because as far as Hayley is concerned, this entire scheme has already taken far too much time. The poison was supposed to work gradually, allowing Bill's declining health to appear natural and keeping suspicion away from the people secretly responsible. But the longer Bill remains alive, the more difficult it becomes for Hayley to continue pretending that she is the loving, concerned wife standing anxiously beside him. Every worsening symptom forces her to perform concern for the people around her, and although nobody seems to realize that her compassion is an act, maintaining that performance may become harder with every passing day. Unfortunately for Hayley, another danger is quietly developing behind the scenes, and it could threaten to expose everything she and Randy have worked to conceal. Madison has already deduced that Bill did not suffer a stroke, which means the mystery surrounding his condition is far from over. Rather than simply accepting what happened, she decided to take a closer look at his blood work, searching for answers that could explain why his health suddenly deteriorated. With every new medical test, there is another opportunity for something toxic to be discovered in Bill's system, and that possibility could turn Hayley and Randy's carefully constructed long con into a race against time. The more closely the doctors examine Bill, the greater the chance that the truth could begin surfacing before Hayley gets what she wants. That growing threat may be exactly why the cousins are now plotting to accelerate their con, knowing that waiting much longer could become even more dangerous than taking a bigger risk. The weekly Beyond the Gates video preview only adds another chilling layer to the situation, as Hayley admits that she believes her husband may be knocking on death's door. On the surface, those words could sound like the fearful observation of a worried wife, but knowing what Hayley has been secretly doing gives them a far darker meaning. This may be the very moment when she and Randy decide that their original timetable is no longer acceptable and that the plan must move forward faster. Viewers have already seen Hayley lacing Bill's drinks with stronger doses, quietly increasing the danger while continuing to hide behind the appearance of concern. Yet if those stronger doses still have not produced the outcome she wants quickly enough, the question becomes increasingly frightening. Just how far are Hayley and Randy prepared to go next? Whatever they decide, raising the stakes could bring them closer to achieving their goal, but it could also create the very mistake that finally exposes them. While Haley and Randy become more desperate, another dangerous plan begins taking shape elsewhere, and this time Deanna has set her sights on one of the DMV's shadiest men, Joey Armstrong. The weekly teasers reveal that Deanna is preparing to set a dastardly plan in motion, suggesting that her determination to remove Joey from her mother's life is about to become much more than simple disapproval. On the surface, Deanna may appear to be keeping busy by working at her mother's agency for the summer, giving the impression that her attention is focused on something productive and harmless. Behind that distraction, however, she is secretly scheming to break up Vanessa and Joey, convinced that Joey has no place in her mother's life. Deanna does not merely want the relationship to fade away eventually. She wants Joey gone, and she wants him gone now. The mystery is what exactly her plan will entail and how far she is willing to go to make sure Vanessa and Joey are permanently torn apart. That uncertainty becomes even more intriguing when Doug's final words suddenly startle Joey, leaving him shaken by something that refuses to stay buried in the past. Could this unsettling moment somehow be connected to Deanna's plan, perhaps suggesting that she has already begun pulling strings behind the scenes? Or is Doug simply weighing heavily on Joey's mind, his final words resurfacing at a moment when guilt, fear, or unresolved memories are becoming impossible to ignore? Joey is a man surrounded by secrets and danger, and any reminder of Doug could carry consequences that extend far beyond a single disturbing memory. If Deanna discovers the right weakness, she may believe she has found exactly what she needs to drive Joey away from Vanessa. But when someone decides to challenge a man like Joey Armstrong, even a carefully designed plan can spiral into consequences no one anticipated. Amid all the deception and plotting, Naomi's story moves in a very different direction, carrying a deeply personal, emotional weight as she prepares to confront questions about her health and her future. Jacob accompanies Naomi to her oncology appointment with Monica standing beside his wife as she takes another important step toward understanding what her BRCA gene results could mean for the years ahead. When Monica took over as chief of staff at Garland Memorial Hospital, she made certain that the new position would not prevent her from continuing to work in her medical field, and now that expertise becomes especially important for Naomi. After beginning to come clean about her BRCA gene results, Naomi is no longer avoiding the difficult questions that come with them. Instead, she wants to understand what happens next, what choices are available, and what those choices could mean for her body and her future. It is a frightening road to consider, but Naomi appears determined to face the possibilities with as much information as she can gather. Naomi has already told Jacob that she wants to explore the possibility of undergoing a double mastectomy, a preventive decision that could reduce her chances of developing breast cancer later in life. It is an enormous choice, one filled with emotional, physical, and deeply personal considerations, and Naomi clearly understands that learning the facts is the first step toward deciding what is right for her. Her approach stands in sharp contrast to the conflict unfolding between Danny and Andre this week, because Danny does not want to change her body based on something that may or may not happen in the future. Danny chooses to live in the present, holding firmly to the belief that if cancer happens, then it happens, rather than allowing the possibility to dictate what she does with her body now. Andre, however, would feel much better if she at least informed herself about the next steps and understood the options available to her. Their disagreement is not simply about medicine. It reflects two very different ways of facing fear, uncertainty, and the possibility of a future no one can fully predict. Unlike her mother, Naomi would rather know everything she possibly can before making such an important decision. She wants to learn about every available option, understand every detail, and give herself the knowledge necessary to make a choice about her own future with clarity rather than uncertainty. Jacob, meanwhile, wants to be there for his wife through every difficult conversation, offering his presence and support as Naomi enters an appointment that could shape the next chapter of their lives. But as Monica begins explaining the possibilities, Jacob may have questions of his own, especially as the reality of what Naomi is considering becomes more immediate. Supporting someone through a decision this significant can bring fears and emotions to the surface for both partners, even when love and commitment remain unwavering. As Naomi searches for answers about her future, Jacob's role beside her may become just as emotionally important as the medical information they are about to receive. With Hayley and Randy preparing to accelerate a deadly long con, Deanna secretly moving against Joey, Doug's final words haunting the edges of Joey's mind, and Naomi stepping into a deeply important medical conversation with Jacob by her side. Wednesday's episode promises tension on several very different fronts. Hayley's impatience could push her into a dangerous mistake, just as Madison's investigation into Bill's blood work threatens to uncover something toxic. Deanna's determination to protect Vanessa could place her in a confrontation far more dangerous than she realizes, while Joey may already be carrying the weight of memories he cannot escape. At the same time, Naomi's journey offers a quieter but equally powerful form of courage as she chooses knowledge over uncertainty and begins exploring the difficult options that could protect her future. Every decision made now has the potential to reshape relationships, expose secrets, and change lives, leaving one haunting question hanging over the gates. Who will control what happens next, and who is about to discover that some consequences can never be undone? And as these stories continue unfolding, the sense of danger surrounding Bill becomes impossible to ignore because Hayley and Randy are no longer dealing with a plan that can remain hidden indefinitely. Every additional day Bill survives creates another opportunity for doctors to investigate, for Madison to uncover an inconsistency, and for someone close to him to begin asking questions that Hayley may not be prepared to answer. The irony is becoming increasingly dangerous for her because the very health crisis she hoped would bring Bill closer to death has instead brought more medical attention directly to him. If Madison's closer examination of the blood work reveals even the slightest sign of something toxic, the entire situation could change in an instant. What once looked like a carefully controlled scheme could suddenly become evidence of deliberate poisoning, and Hayley's performance as the worried wife might be examined under an entirely different light. That possibility may explain why Hayley appears ready to abandon patience and push the plan into a far more dangerous phase. She and Randy have spent so much time building this long con that failure now may feel impossible to accept, yet desperation has a way of making even careful people reckless. Hayley has already increased the strength of the poison in Bill's drinks, proving that she is willing to take greater risks when the results do not come quickly enough. But stronger doses could also create stronger evidence, especially if Bill's doctors are actively searching for an explanation that goes beyond a stroke or an ordinary medical emergency. The closer Hayley believes Bill is to death's door, the more pressure she may feel to deliver one final push before anyone discovers what is truly happening. And in that dangerous space between impatience and panic, one wrong move could destroy everything. Randy now finds himself standing beside Hayley as the stakes continue to rise, and whatever the cousins decide to do next could determine whether their long con succeeds or collapses around them. Accelerating the plan may sound simple when discussed in secret, but every change carries new risks, especially when Bill is already under medical observation. If his condition suddenly deteriorates again, the people around him may no longer accept another unexplained health crisis without demanding answers. Madison's suspicions have already opened the door to a deeper investigation, and once that door is open, Hayley may find it increasingly difficult to close. The more she interferes with Bill's health, the more evidence she potentially leaves behind. For a woman who has spent so much time pretending to care, the greatest challenge may soon be hiding the fear that she herself is about to be exposed. Meanwhile, Deanna's determination to remove Joey Armstrong from Vanessa's life introduces a different kind of danger, one driven not by poison, but by manipulation and desperation. From Deanna's perspective, Joey represents something dark and threatening, and simply waiting for Vanessa to recognize that danger on her own is no longer enough. By working at her mother's agency during the summer, Deanna has the perfect opportunity to remain close while appearing focused on ordinary responsibilities. Yet beneath that seemingly innocent arrangement, another agenda is taking shape as she prepares to interfere directly in Vanessa and Joey's relationship. She believes she is acting to protect her mother, but plans built on secrecy can quickly become dangerous, especially when the target is someone as complicated as Joey. The harder Deanna pushes, the greater the possibility that she may uncover something she was never prepared to face. Doug's final words could become an especially important piece of that unfolding mystery because their effect on Joey appears powerful enough to startle him. Whether Deanna has somehow triggered this moment or whether Doug is simply haunting Joey's thoughts remains unclear, but the emotional impact could reveal a vulnerability beneath Joey's guarded exterior. Final words often carry a weight that refuses to disappear, particularly when they are connected to unfinished business, regret, guilt, or secrets that were never fully resolved. If Joey is already struggling with whatever Doug left behind, Deanna may unknowingly be stepping into a situation far more complicated than a simple attempt to break up a relationship. She wants Joey out of Vanessa's life immediately, but forcing that separation could unleash truths that have remained hidden for a reason. And once those truths begin surfacing, Deanna may discover that controlling the outcome is far more difficult than starting the plan. Vanessa, of course, remains at the emotional center of Deanna's scheme. Even if she does not yet realize how determined her daughter has become, Deanna may believe that removing Joey is unquestionably the right thing to do, but Vanessa's feelings cannot simply be erased because someone else believes the relationship is dangerous. That creates the possibility of a painful conflict between mother and daughter, especially if Vanessa discovers that Deanna has been secretly interfering in her personal life. What begins as an attempt at protection could easily be interpreted as betrayal, manipulation, or a refusal to respect Vanessa's choices. Deanna may be convinced that the end justifies the means, but the emotional cost of her actions could be far greater than she expects. If her plan succeeds, she could separate Vanessa from Joey, yet she might also damage the trust between herself and her mother. Away from those dangerous schemes, Naomi's appointment with Monica brings the story into a quieter but deeply emotional space where the stakes are no less significant. Naomi is confronting a possibility that reaches far beyond the present moment, forcing her to think about a future in which knowledge could potentially help her reduce the risk of breast cancer. Her BRCA gene results have already changed the way she must think about her health, and now she is choosing to confront the information rather than turn away from it. Sitting with Monica and hearing the details of her options could make everything feel more real than ever before. A double mastectomy is not merely a medical phrase or an abstract possibility. It is a major decision involving Naomi's body, identity, future, and sense of control. Yet Naomi's willingness to learn shows that she would rather face difficult information than allow fear of the unknown to make the decision for her. Jacob's presence beside her adds another layer of emotion to the appointment because this journey affects him as her husband, even though the ultimate decision belongs to Naomi. He wants to support her, to listen, and to understand what she may face if she chooses preventive surgery. He may also carry fears that he has not fully expressed, questions about recovery, risks, emotional impact, and what Naomi will need from him in the days ahead. His questions, if they come, could reveal just how seriously he is taking his role as her partner through this uncertain chapter. True support does not mean making the decision for Naomi. It means standing beside her while she gathers the information necessary to make that decision for herself. In a week filled with manipulation and hidden agendas, Jacob's desire to simply be present for his wife offers a striking emotional contrast. The difference between Naomi and Danny also becomes increasingly meaningful because mother and daughter are confronting similar information through completely different philosophies. Danny does not want the possibility of future illness to force her into changing her body today, and she chooses to live in the present rather than organize her life around something that may never happen. For her, the idea that if it happens, it happens reflects a determination not to surrender the present to fear of the future. Andre, however, sees value in knowledge and wants Danny to at least understand what options exist before closing the door on them. Their disagreement carries the potential for emotional conflict because both positions come from deeply personal places, and neither fear nor love can make such a decision simple. What Andre sees as preparation, Danny may experience as pressure, and what Danny sees as living freely, Andre may see as refusing information that could someday matter. Naomi approaches the same uncertainty differently, choosing to gather every fact she can before deciding what comes next. Her willingness to consider a double mastectomy does not necessarily mean that the decision has already been made, but it does show that she wants to understand the possibility fully. Monica's guidance could therefore become crucial, giving Naomi a clearer picture of the medical realities, potential benefits, and difficult considerations surrounding her options. For Jacob, hearing those details alongside his wife may also transform the situation from a distant concern into something immediate and deeply personal. Whatever Naomi ultimately chooses, this appointment represents movement forward because she is no longer simply carrying the knowledge of her BRCA results in silence. She is beginning to confront what that knowledge means and how she wants to use it to shape her future. By the time Wednesday's events unfold, nearly every major character involved will be standing at the edge of a decision with consequences that cannot easily be reversed. Hayley and Randy must decide how far they are willing to go to accelerate a deadly scheme while Madison's investigation threatens to expose the truth. Deanna must put her plan against Joey into motion without knowing whether her attempt to protect Vanessa could instead create a devastating family conflict. Joey must confront the unsettling weight of Doug's final words, whether they are connected to Deanna's actions or simply to memories that refuse to leave him alone. Naomi must listen, learn, and begin considering a medical choice that could profoundly affect her future, while Jacob remains beside her with support and perhaps questions of his own. The gates may appear calm from the outside, but behind them, secrets are tightening, fears are deepening, and every choice is pushing these characters closer to moments that could change their lives forever.